Hello everyone, Crash here, this is RTA Motorsports. Today we're going to be jumping in the MetaQuest 3 in Assetto Corsa Evo and taking a look at what is the current state in VR in that title. Here we go. All right, everyone, if you're new to this channel, definitely consider hitting that like button and the subscribe button. I've been covering sim racing and sim racing gear for years now, and VR since the very beginning. We've been in the VR space since the Oculus DK1 era. I even made a DIY headset back in the day if you want to check out those old videos. But let's take a look at Assetto Corsa Evo, its early access, and what is going on with VR right now. So through every single early access we have ever been through with sim racing and VR, we know that there's going to be problems. There's going to be optimization issues. There's going to be frame rate issues. There may be pop-ins. There may be crashing. I don't know yet what's exactly going on with Assetto Corsa Evo. In our current setup, we are running an Nvidia RTX 4090, and for the CPU, it's AMD Ryzen 7950X 3D CPU. Just in case you have a similar system, this is kind of going to be what I'm experiencing, what we do in just a moment here. A lot of times, the reason why I told you my PC specs is sometimes VR related issues are also related to drivers or your system itself. So just something to consider out there. If I don't, or I do have issues that you may or may not experience, it may also be related to certain drivers that I have in my system. Now, everything that I have is currently updated to the most recent driver set, as well as my BIOS and my motherboard has been released to the current BIOS for my motherboard. And I'm running the B650 live mixer from ASRock. ASRock? Sure. And then also, I haven't really researched too much. I've seen some comments online of what people are experiencing issue-wise with the Assetto Corsa Evo early access, but I didn't really go too far into it because I didn't want it to cloud my judgment. So let's jump in the rig, let's fire up Assetto Corsa Evo, and let's see what we experience together. All right, so we're in Assetto Corsa Evo right now, and we have just loaded up to the main menu. First thing you're gonna notice with this early access, as early as we are right now, is some artifacting. Now, again, early access, you're going to experience issues, especially graphical issues, optimization issues. Make sure that your expectations are accurate, right? Normally with early access, we don't get VR support for 6 months to a year later. So it's kind of neat that we even have VR support at all this early on, almost the initial implementation, or actually at the initial implementation. So let's be grateful that we have anything, right? But in the menu here, you're gonna see this like lighting sort of artifacting. It's very pixelated. It's layer-wise in front of the car. So even though when you turn the car, it's behind it, it appears to be in front and really is distracting and kind of messes with your eyes a little bit. So turn to this wall in the garage if that is bothering you, and you shouldn't be bothered at all. But the car models are absolutely gorgeous. That I gotta say, they are really beautiful. They did such a good job as usual with their car models. You can see we could swing up here, look down in the engine bay. Absolutely gorgeous. Good job, guys. But let's go to settings here. And initially I tried loading this up and I noticed each eye was seeing something totally different and I couldn't see the menus, couldn't actually do anything. And what that was, I had to turn off triple screen. So graphically, in the settings, there's no separate file for your VR settings versus your monitor settings. So a lot of sims have two different files for that. This is not one of them. So just kind of keep that in mind. You may need to load up your monitor version, turn off triple screen, and then what also helped me out was turning off full screen. Save that, and then go back and then launch it in VR, and then there you go. Now, our system, we have a 7950X 3D CPU and a 4090, Nvidia RTX 4090. And even then, we're still running at like a medium preset. I did boost a few things like anisotropic filtering. I boosted anti-aliasing up just a little bit. And we're not running any sort of upscaling mode because I'm not sure how that actually works in VR, if at all. Let me know in the comment box below if you know if that's actually working. And then down here from motion blur, I turned that off. So let's go back. And then also another thing you're going to want to do is you want to go to controls. You want to click on your wheel. Getting a little bit of a freeze there. You can see it lowered down to 1 frame per second. I don't know what's happening. But this is kind of what happens in the menu system. Very odd. You want to click camera. And then we're going to scroll all the way down to reset view. You're going to want to make sure you bind this button here because sometimes you'll load up and your head will be turned a little bit and it doesn't reset 0 position. You're going to want to make sure this button is bound somewhere so that way you can reset 0. It also works with depth. So if you're really far away from the steering wheel or way too close to your dashboard, you could kind of just hit that and it will re-zero you to where you should be. Let's go to single player mode and we're going to just leave this the way it is. Just a quick 5-minute race session, 12 opponents, so 13 cars on track, including mine. At Laguna Seca, the GP, clear weather, all the assists on Pro with the Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo. Let's see what that's like. A lot of artifacting. These weird cubes are on the screen right now. Okay. There we go. So now we're on track and we're in the car. You can see my motion rig moving around. Boom. All right. So we're in the car. And I think we're good to go. So now if I move my head around, we're good. Oh yeah, look at that. So the passenger mirror is actually working. That passenger mirror actually does not work in the monitor version of racing. It's normally a black screen. So that's neat that it works. But if I move my head around, you notice that the mirrors don't move because we don't have actual dynamic mirrors at the moment. But we do have that screen there, which is going to be very useful on track. And we have our driver mirror, of course. So right now the menu system looks completely normal. It says offline down here, but inside the car, I could read everything. Everything looks really good. The pit detail is really good. There's a little bit of that shimmering from anti-aliasing in the distance, but really that's not too bad. I could read the WeatherTech mission sign right there in front of us. Again, we're at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. The dashboard, I could read everything. It says TC13. I could see my lap time monitor there. Everything over here in the car, I could see that center console very clearly. The car models themselves are really good. I don't think they need to adjust anything as far as the car models at all. Absolutely gorgeous no matter where you look. You can see actually on the roll bar over there some scraping, and I'm assuming that's someone's helmet going in and out of the car, scraping against the roll bar there. And you can see I have a pad on my roll bar here in case my helmet hits or my head hits. We have some pads there, and we do have the passenger seat there. So this is really a detailed car, and I don't think they need to adjust that at all. But you can see in the pits right now, we are reprojected at 45. All right, so let's load up. We got the whole HUD system here going, and it looks really good, very clear. I actually like the placement of everything. Very detailed. Green flag. We're still at reprojected 45, 46. Also noticing some texture issues with the track surface itself going smooth and then the textures kind of coming in and out. It's not super distracting at all, it's just something I'm noticing. Car still feels really good. Motion feels really good. We're still at a reprojected 45. On the back of the track here, we do have all these AI cars still in view. I'm noticing a little bit of like jumping and jittering of the screen. Frame rate is dropping even further. I do love the feel and the physics of these cars. Going over that hill, the front end of the car lifts up a little bit, de-weights, and you can feel it in the steering wheel. You turn the steering wheel, it's very light, and then when the weight comes back in, it starts really giving you that heft that you were expecting. We are having some like frame rate inconsistencies here, and it is kind of making it a little bit harder to judge speed a little bit. So if you are sensitive to frame rate changes, you may not want to jump into this right now. I'm used to it. Been doing VR for a long time. But you could definitely see, oh, I saw some birds flying in the distance there. You can see kind of where their mind is at and how they're going to be building this as we go forward. And it truly does look like it's going to be a really beautiful title in VR. Lots going on in the background. I see some wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube guys. Especially as we come along this front straight here, you can see one red right there. Crowd looks really detailed. And even the driver animations here. Seeing the driver's legs move with the gas and brake pedal. You can see it in my periphery, and it's very very immersive. Got a minute and 21 seconds left. Seems to be running a little bit smoother, probably as cars start separating and moving around on track, not so bunched up together. We are using the link cable. Pit detail is definitely a factor. Wow, frame rate is kind of all over the place. There we go, we're on the last lap here. That felt good. We're drifting too far out. There we go, and you can see the checkered flag being waved by the steward back there. That was pretty neat. It was a nice little touch. So let's let the AI cars go ahead. Let's get a little bit of a gap between us and them and really just kind of explore what type of frame rate we're looking at when we're not rendering those cars. We should be able to still see them kind of go by straight ahead. Pretty neat how you can see these characters kind of walking around the track here behind the fence. That's really immersive. That's like another layer of detail there. We're still at reprojected 45. Very interesting, because when I was running just a test to make sure everything was working earlier, we were hitting 70. We were hitting 90, I'm sorry, on certain parts, and I don't seem to be able to do so. We're just staying at a steady 45. I kind of wonder if there's like some other variables at play here that's just keeping us right at 45 reprojected. So just understand your mileage may vary, because we were at 90 for some parts of the track before, and that doesn't seem to be the case now. Could be because I'm recording. Very well could be that I'm recording. Probably very likely. The track is extremely detailed too. I like how visible everything is. I really don't think graphically, as far as details go, they need to change much. Of course, there's optimizations that need to happen to eliminate the artifacting and hopefully get us some more frames. Now, all the cars are in the pits. That's why we are experiencing such big frame drops now. And there's only 12 other cars, and you can see how much my system is struggling right now. So we're going to be going in right here. I can see that it's glowing for us and ready. Boom. All right, so let's jump out of the rig here and let's get our thoughts together and round this up. All right, everyone, hopefully you enjoyed that, and hopefully it gave you some insight as to the current state of VR in Assetto Corsa Evo. One thing I want to stress is do not judge the current state of VR in Assetto Corsa Evo against Assetto Corsa Evo as a whole. I'm sure there's going to be optimizations and things that are going to happen along the line that are really going to improve the experience that we have in Assetto Corsa Evo. A big thing that I've experienced, again, just in case you are all experiencing this as well, is if you load up Assetto Corsa Evo in VR at the moment and you're experiencing where you're seeing two totally different things in each eye, and you're not seeing the splash screen or the roadmap of Assetto Corsa Evo, you're going to want to ensure that your triple screen is turned off. And then maybe even, especially if you have like an odd aspect ratio monitor, a super wide, you may want to turn off full screen mode. And those seem to help me actually get into it and drive just fine. Now, again, we did experience a lot of optimization issues, and I'm not going to judge Assetto Corsa Evo and their team for any sort of optimization or weird sort of issues that we're experiencing VR right now, because really this is the initial release of Assetto Corsa Evo, early access. There's going to be changes along the way. And I got to say, for it being this early, normally any sort of sim racing title, when they are saying they're going to release VR support, it's almost 6 months to a year later. So to have it this early on and be playable enough where you could actually get on track and run it, not bad. I'm actually very impressed and very hopeful for what we're going to see in the future. The only thing to consider, again, is I'm running a 4090 with a 7950 X3D CPU. This is a very stout system. And even then, with 22 cars on the track, we were hitting reprojected 36 frames per second pretty often, and it was very jittery. So if you're very sensitive to any sort of frame rate differences in VR and it makes you motion sick, just don't even try it right now. Let it be further down the line before you jump in. But if you're not sensitive to any sort of frame rate issues in VR, like I'm not, because we have been in VR for so long, it's pretty cool to just jump in and experience it. I do gotta say though, the cars, the physics of the cars are truly amazing and such a great fun driving experience that I think if you're just going to do practice sessions by yourself on track, just to kind of experience it and see where their mindset is and how their track modeling is going to be developing along the way, I think this would be kind of a cool experience. But don't expect it to be like iRacing or Assetto Corsa Competizione or even Assetto Corsa in VR. Those are truly polished, full release titles that have several updates under its belt. This is not that. You're going to experience some weird sort of issues, glitching happening. have since I've started this video. I went in and I was looking at some other issues people are experiencing. Some of the artifacting that we experience, a lot of people are experiencing as well, but some people are experiencing crashing as well. That's what happens with early access. So just go in with the correct mindset and the correct expectations, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it as well. It is exciting to see that there are going to be an open world sort of free roam mode later this year. It says fall 2025. And to have that in VR is going to be pretty insane. I'm kind of curious to see exactly how they're going to implement it and how that's going to look. I think this title is going to be the title to get in 2025. Everyone, I'm Crash's RTA Motorsports. And again, this is a first look to see the current state of VR in Assetto Corsa Evo. If you have any questions or any comments, definitely leave them in the box below. If you know any optimizations, any specific options we should be disabling to really max out our frame rate in VR in this title, definitely leave them in the comment box below too, to not only help me, but help everyone else that may be joining into this video and looking for some of those optimizations. Everyone, stay safe, stay happy, have a great weekend, and I'll catch you all next time.